Hello again, everybody. We are continuing our coverage from the campus of Syracuse University on the crash of Pan Am Flight 103, a flight jammed with Central New York sons and daughters, students from local colleges flying home to spend Christmas with their families and friends. We'll paint a picture of this campus on this sad day, show how people are coping, or at least trying to cope, with their sudden losses, and how a community rallies to lend its support. But before we do that, let's go back to the newsroom and Bob Kirk for the latest information on what happened to Flight 103. Bob?
Ron, the investigation, as you know, is still in the early stages, but officials suspect sabotage, that there was indeed a terrorist attack, an explosion on board.
There's nothing left. Nothing at all. Just pieces. Pieces of a plane. Nothing else.
As eyewitnesses recounted the horror and investigators began searching through the devastation in Lockerbie, Scotland, it was revealed that someone had threatened more than 2 weeks ago to bomb a Pan Am jet headed from West Germany to the U.S. during December. A memo about the warning was circulated to U.S. embassies, telling the employees it was up to them to decide whether to change their travel plans in light of the threat. The head of the State Department task force assigned to deal with the crash says many such notices go out to embassies, and this warning wouldn't have seemed unusual. The government did not notify the general public. Pan Am says it was also told about the threat, and it beefed up security in Frankfurt and other airports. An airline spokeswoman says Pan Am didn't tell the public about the threat because of security reasons. At the White House, a spokesman says the public should be aware of such threats and promises the matter will be looked into. But Marlin Fitzwater defends the State Department's handling of the matter. President Reagan is offering his condolences to the victims of the air disaster and promises full U.S. cooperation in the investigation. Ron?
Well, Bob, of course, that is a very disturbing aspect, the fact that a bomb threat was received some 2 weeks ago, although from what you just reported, apparently the authorities were notified. Pan Am was aware of that. Is that correct?
Right. Both the State Department, U.S. embassies around the world, and Pan Am were all aware. Interesting one footnote here, too, Ron, as we reported on earlier. An anonymous caller to United Press International in London claimed responsibility for the crash on behalf of a group known as the Guardians of the Islamic Revolution. Now, they labeled this revenge for the U.S. downing of an Iranian airliner in the Persian Gulf, but this claim could not be verified.
Mm-hmm. And, of course, I think it's certainly safe to say that no matter how tight the security may be, unfortunately, there is always a way to breach that security, apparently.
Always seems to be, yes.
Okay, thank you, Bob. Okay. Well, the full weight of the crash settled on Syracuse University today. Some students, of course, had already left here. They had gone home for the holiday. Perhaps as many as half had left. The people who remained, however, grieved in public and in private. Now, we have several reports this evening, beginning with Scott Atkinson.
It was simple and obvious today. SU is a campus in mourning, and the mourning is taking place in public. SU's chancellor said the university will review its overseas program.
Whenever there's a tragedy as comprehensive as this, all features of a program must be examined.
But Eggers is also saying there is little SU can do to make travel abroad safer for its students, and he could hardly believe reports the flight had been blown up on purpose.
But to consider it as a deliberate act is almost incomprehensible to me. I find that just so appalling.
Although many students have already left campus for the holidays, there was a memorial service at Hendricks Chapel. There were words for the pain.
We stand in a world of violence, hopelessness, and tragedy.
And words for the frustration.
And what can words do? Words can't possibly help us get in touch with the grief that we feel. Words can't answer all the questions that we have.
And very old words for comfort.
And forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us.
But even these words could not comfort everyone. And when the words ended,
let us embrace with a handshake, with a hug, reach out, embrace.
It was the simplest gesture of the day, and perhaps the best. Scott Atkinson, Newscenter 5.
This is Tracy Davidson. Campus life continued today, but in shock. Students tried to rise above the pain and do the jobs they had to do.
The Most Music Z89 telling you if you have any concerns or questions at all about Pan Am Flight 103, please call us right here at the station at 443-HITS.
I think the students are in shock right now. I don't think it really has hit a lot of them.
At the Dome this morning, football players preparing for the Hall of Fame Bowl had a job to do as well.
Well, I think that all of us really don't have all of the information, but I know that none of us really got a lot of sleep last night. You know, we were all up late, and some of us were giving gifts to our friends before we went away for the holidays and things, and it was kind of a terrible time to hear the news.
You know, we got to practice here. We got ready for a bowl game, which could be a good time for us, but you got to think about, you know, the families and the people that were involved. It's really, you know, it's tough to get your mindset on what's going on, but, you know, we got to do it.
On the last day of finals, Chancellor Mel Eggers asked teachers to take into account the sorrow and shock, but tests went on as planned.
Yeah, it's tough, but you know, life goes on and you have to continue. It's hard thinking about what happened, especially at this time, Christmas. But
I didn't know anyone directly, but I live in a fraternity, and a lot of the guys in the house knew people in other houses.
Life will go on, but thoughts of life and death will linger in the students' minds for some time to come.
just